Right, so that's us. We should be live. We should be coming up on screen any minute now. Um, I always like to wait until I can see myself on actual YouTube before I start saying anything meaningful. Not that anything that I say is that important, really, but it's just a habit by now. So, in case you hadn't guessed it, you'll all now see who my special guest is that I dropped the hint about in the den, the Barely Balanced Divination den. So, hi Jen, how are you?
Hey, Chris, I'm good. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm very good. Thank you very much for coming on with me.
It's okay. As I mentioned to you earlier, I'm quite unprepared, but that's fine.
Well, to be honest, as unprepared as you might be, Jen, if the performance from my internet so far is anything to go by, then you might be running the show for a for a bit of it. So we'll see what happens. But yeah, my internet has not been the best this past week or so. It just seems to decide that it's going to kick me out every now and then. So we've got Sky are sending out more stuff at the weekend actually on Saturday. They're sending out like a range extender or something, but I'm not loving it.
That's
So
all right.
yeah, hopefully we
There's
won't have
another in
problems.
life. You disappear.
Aye. So let me go down the list and say hi to everybody who's here. So we've got Justin was in first. Now, I know that it's Thanksgiving. So for anyone who celebrates Thanksgiving, um, they'll obviously be busy kind of eating lovely turkey or, thank whatever Thanksgiving food they have and spending time with their loved ones. So we might have a bit of a quiet one today. But for all you guys who do celebrate Thanksgiving, who are popping in to say hello, it's really is very much appreciated. So Justin, hi, and thank you for popping in. It is lovely to see you as always. We've got the lovely Sandra from the Whispering Well. Becca's here from Becca Talks and Tarot. Hi, Becca. We've got Nerys Wicken222. We've got Jamie Kelly, the lovely Jamie. Uh, let's see. We've got Simon from the Hermit's Cave. Hi, Simon. How are you? We have got Ishi and Jackie Jacaranda. Hi, Jackie. Simon says, love the strap line. The strap line. What does the strap line mean? Um, is that what I've called the video? Um, anyway, we've got Robin's here from Toadstool Tarot. Hi, Robin. How are you? Happy Thanksgiving to you as well. We've got Sue's here. Hi, Sue. And I think that's everyone that I can see. Oh, no, 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 no. Chat's just jumped. Elle, hi, Elle. How are you? Selkie's here. Hi, Selkie. And yeah, my
Robin.
chat jumped. So
You might have said Robin.
what was that? Sorry, Jen?
Did you say Robin? You might have.
Yeah, Robin's here. So I think I've caught everyone, but as always, if I've missed anyone, then apologies. Oh, I see. Yeah, build community, promote diversity, and sling cards. Yeah, that's always been on my kind of YouTube page. I think. See, because I've not made up a thumbnail, Simon. I've been quite lazy this week, but strategically lazy. I've not made a thumbnail for this video because I was going to make it out of the 5 decks that I'm going to use. So it's just my normal YouTube kind of picture that you're seeing there. But thank you very much. Oh, Mendy, hi Mendy. I see Mendy and Aquarius Owl. I see Jen's Balanced Tarot. I see lovely Naomi. I see Deanne.
Maurice.
Naricia. Yeah. So to everyone, hi and welcome. And like I said, to all my American friends who have popped in despite it being Thanksgiving and no doubt having a busy day, thanks very much for being here. Really appreciate it. So got a special guest here, Hen, who, to be fair, I put on the spot in our own live. For me this morning, for Hen, it was last night. I just said at the end of the live when she was like ready to hit that no more live button. I said, "Do you want to go live with me tonight?" and put her on the spot, and she very kindly
And I
agreed to
thought
come
Chris
live
was
with me.
going to come live with me.
Oh yeah, that was funny. I said, "Do you want to come live with me, Jen?" And she says, "Do I want to come and live with you? I'm not really sure that you would want that." And I was like, "No, no, live, not live, as in YouTube live." uh,
Oh,
that was
God.
good. So yeah, so we're going to do a tag. Well, is it a tag? Is it just a kind of video response? It's to Kelly Bear's top 5 decks I can't live without. So the premise is, I was watching a couple of the responses this morning, and I made a point in watching a couple of Kelly Bear's videos because she kind of tries to update this every year. I think she started it in 2016, was it? Someone can correct me if I'm wrong. But yeah, so it's if you had to go away for a year and you could only fit 5 decks in your, 5 tarot decks in your suitcase, what would they be? Rather than if your house was burning down and you could only grab 5 decks, what would they be? So it's not quite as cruel as what it potentially could be. So I've got my 5 decks kind of ready and in front of me. I've been quite strategic about the decks that I've picked. And Hen, you've got yours ready as well, haven't you?
I have, and yeah, it's shitty selecting 5 decks.
Well, I'm sure Kelly wouldn't mind if if you had a wee honorary mention at the end or something.
It's a slight honorary mention.
Well, I'll let you go first, Jen, if that's okay.
Okay. Do you want me to do all of mine, or one? We'll do one for one. How do you want to do it?
Back and forth, one for one. It's probably.
Okay. So the first deck that I do not want to live without would have to be my Crystal Visions Tarot. And that is because this is, and I haven't read with this actually for so long, but this is the first deck I got when I kind of found my spirituality again and got back into the tarot again. And it's the deck that, kind of opened my world to all this and the 5,000 other decks. Yeah, so yeah, it means a lot. It's the first deck I ever read for my hubby with. And it came into my life at a really, really important time. So yeah, that's why my Crystal Visions is one that I just couldn't live without.
Cool. So you said it got you back into your spirituality. So did you used to kind of read cards and stuff and then come away from it and then come back to it then?
Yeah, so I had my first deck when I was a teenager, and I think it was just when I got married and had kids and just kind of let it go because I didn't have time. And then doing a psychology degree, it's so science-based and everything has to have facts. And yeah, and it was just all of a sudden, I sort of put a comment out to like my group of colleagues in different like Facebook groups I'm in saying, does anyone else feel like they've totally lost their spiritual side since becoming a psychologist? And like I worked with it all the time with my clients, depending on where they were at with their spirituality. But it was almost one of those, I guess how people describe it, that dark night of the soul moment where you realize something's missing. And
yeah,
so it meant a lot to me to find that deck. Yeah.
Right. Well, that's really nice.
And hey, Sedona, come in. Hey, Cassie.
Oh yeah, see. Hi everyone. The chat is actually moving quite fast. Do you know, I thought I was going to have an easy time with it. I thought because like loads of people are going to be away kind of celebrating and it's going to be a quiet chat tonight. But it looks like I'm not getting it quite as easy. Right. Justin says, Hen, you have to read more Jung, as in the psychologist Jung.
Do you know what, Justin? I think because I'm a psychologist, everyone assumes that I'm up with Jungian psychology, but I'm actually not into it. I'm not a Jungian psychologist at all. Right. Yeah, so that's interesting. And Sedana's asking, have I had sleep? Yes, too much sleep, Sedona, because I slept in 2.5 hours after my alarm and rushed around to get here.
I've already told Hen that it doesn't look like it. She looks lovely, doesn't she? She looks as though she's spent the last 2 hours like getting herself ready.
I had 15 minutes by the time I got coffee down to get here.
Have you got like the biggest, baggiest pair of joggies on underneath that lovely top? Is that what's going on over there? Jammy bottoms.
I probably would, but I had a pair of shorts sitting out, the same ones I had on yesterday, so they went on this morning.
Right, okay. So my first deck, I'll get the obvious one out of the way first, Shala. And my first deck that I would say I wouldn't want to live without is obviously my Lightseers, my good old Ugg boots. Yeah, it's my, as you'll know, it's my soul deck. You're probably sick of listening to me talking about it by now. It's my favourite. It's the one that, if I'm feeling like, just in a bit of a funk with tarot or I just can't be bothered, this is the one I'll always come to, and it just kind of seems to revitalise. Is that the right word? It just kind of seems to kind of bring me back into the right headspace. So yeah, this is.
Yeah. Even though that's not in my top 5, it's a very special deck to me because my parents actually bought me the indie version for my birthday last year.
Oh wow!
Yeah,
that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So have you got the one? Oh, that's funny. I was just about to ask about that, and then that pops out. So have you got this Ten of Swords? Yeah.
Yeah, I've got that one because I didn't do the Kickstarter of it.
Mendy's here. Hi, Mendy, and she wants to know more about the Lightseers. Just you be careful, Mendy, because I could talk all day about the Lightseers, and we know that you wouldn't want that. In fact,
I'm saying you stay at 4 a.m. No, Simon, you've seen me at my 2 a.m. At my 2 a.m.
So is that you, like you've slept and you've got up for 2 a.m.? Oh my goodness. Oh no, like I'm an early bird. I get up at like 6, 5:30, 6ish for work. So I know that's late for you, but that's quite early for me. But even at that, if somebody said to me you need to be doing something at 2 o'clock, I would need to stay up. Do you know what I mean? There's no way I could. Well, I don't think I could anyway. Although there are the times where I go to my bed and I just kind of fall asleep at like maybe 8:30, 9ish, and then I wake up about 11 as though I've had a full night's sleep and can't get back to sleep.
Yeah. No, I was mostly during sort of the beginning of the year when it was going into quarantine, and I've never in my life struggled to sleep, but I went through a period where I really struggled to sleep. So, yeah.
Right. Oh, there's me. We'll end on that. That's my significator card, the Page of Cups.
Nice.
Whose head pretty much up his arse. So that's a nice place to end that one. Yeah, so Lightseers is my first one. What's next for you?
Okay, so I have to say my next one is my Triumphi della Luna, and I've got the Paradoxical Rose edition. And this one because I had like the CBD Marseille. I think I can't think of the name of it, the little one in the tin, the little cute one. I don't know. And I had like the Cat Marseille. But when I got this deck, this is what really inspired me to learn Marseille. I freaking love it. And it's funny because I have the Deviant Moon and I really like it, but I barely use it. Whereas, this one, like I got a second copy of this one, which is still wrapped up. So this was my deck into Marseille. And that is why it is in my top 5.
Cool. Yeah, I've got the normal Triumphi della Luna, so I have, which is not paradoxical colours or anything like that. And I think my titles are just in English. Although it would have been nice to get it in like French and Italian or something. But yeah, just whilst I remember, I can't remember. I probably said this at the start, but my internet is being very very cagey today. And I was getting a wee bit of a glitch there when Jen was speaking. So just so you know, if I disappear, Jen might have to be running the show for a couple of minutes to get myself back up and running. But I will be back with you as soon as I can if that does happen.
All good.
So yeah, my next deck, my second deck. So I'm maybe a wee bit methodical about some of my selections here. And if I was to, be away for a year and I could only take 5 decks, I would want to have certain kind of styles of decks, certain types of decks with me to work with. So one of them is, of course, I would want to have a Rider-Waite Smith, and I've gone with the Universal. So I have for the purpose of this exercise, just because the colours are really nice. It's a kind of very, very kind of pretty deck to look at. My version of this, I think, is quite vintage-ish. I think it was about 1990, this version, which was when this deck came out. So I think this is quite a kind of early on version of the deck. So the colours, I believe, are a wee bit paler than what if you were to buy the Universal today. So yeah, this would be one of my. I don't really need to show the cards. Everybody knows what these look like, but it's more so the colours that I would pick this one for.
Yeah, I don't have the Universal.
Right.
No.
Joe, it's funny. I was going to say to you, the first deck that you showed, the Crystal Visions, I think that's the first time I've seen someone have that deck and have not trimmed it.
I couldn't do it. I can't trim decks that I really love, like that. I don't know, are special, and
right.
I don't know. It's weird with that one. I just can't do it. But something like the Phalakos, which other people can't stand to trim, I trimmed mine straight away. So, yeah.
Yeah. Simon's saying the English version is limited edition, the Triumphe. Oh, I didn't know that.
Oh, okay.
Oh, well, there you go. I've got a wee rare number. So yeah, my vintage Universal Waite Smith Waite deck would be my next one. So what about you? What's next for you?
This is where it gets really tricky for me.
Is this where you feel as though you've been asked to pick who's your favourite child?
Yeah, pretty much. I've kind of got like 3 sitting in front of me, but I think I would have to say the Wild Unknown, and not necessarily because it's my favorite of the ones I've got in front of me, but I love the deck. I wasn't around when the hype of this deck happened. So I didn't sort of get caught up in the hype, and then because I can really get bored with decks if I'm caught up in that. But this deck came into my life at a really, really difficult time. And I spent a really long time using this deck and this deck only through that period. So, so it has a lot of meaning to me in that respect. And now that I've moved through that, I don't have the association with the deck as being negative because I used it at a crappy time or anything, but it was a really, really comforting deck to me, and just what I needed. So, yeah, I'd have to say I'd need to have this one with me. Yeah.
That's nice. It's a deck that I've got, but to be honest, it's not one that I use much. I don't know how you, the reason I don't use it much, it's more to do with the guidebook than the images. The images are lovely. Some of them are maybe a wee bit, I can't quite pull the meaning that I would want to pull from the card. Like there's one that's got like a rat or something. I think it might be the Four of Cups or something like that. It's got like a rat on it or something. And do you know, there's sometimes where it throws me a wee bit. Which is my fault. What I need to do is like what I do with quite a lot of decks is I'll go through it and I'll take out all of the cards that don't quite like that are a wee bit odd for me like that, and I'll work with them. You know, I'll kind of brainstorm them. I'll look at what the writer's got to say about them and stuff like that. But do you find, or are you just that used to it?
What was that, sorry?
I'm saying, do you find some of the cards like that, or?
It's one I definitely read more intuitively than by the meaning, and I agree. I mean, the book is made so beautifully, but it's pretty shit at giving you any kind of substantial meaning for the cards and stuff. So, yeah.
Yeah, you're right. It is made really nice. It's like I love like the book is a piece of art unto itself, but you kind of get the idea that Kim kind of has lives in her own wee tarot world. Like she kind of has her own wee like system that she uses. But yeah, it is a stunning deck, and it's one that I got around about Christmas time a few years ago. So it's always going to be a special one for me.
Yeah.
But, yeah. So where are we? So that's 2, and you've just done your third, haven't you? So I've said I would have an RWS, and I'm keeping my eye on the comments, but I'm mostly just looking out for orange. So if anyone's trying to get my attention or Jen's attention, then just tag us. So yeah, I saw Simon's comment. So we've got an RWS, and I would need to have a Marseille as well. I'm actually really getting into the Marseille. Like I'm really starting to kind of appreciate it and enjoy using it as a system. And the Marseille that I've selected for this is the Oncium BP Grimaud. So on my version's copyrighted to 1963, but I don't think they really did copyrights back then. So I suspect that it was made later, and it's just been copyrighted to that time period for some reason. These are the backs, and it's just your kind of standard Oncium. But yeah, I'm really kind of, and I never really thought I would get much into the Marseille. I've got that Justin to blame for it.
So why did you pick that Marseille over other Marseilles you've got?
So I think this was the first Marseille that I got. Well, no, that's actually, I tell an absolute lie. The first one that I got was the Trionfe de la Luna. I don't know. I think because it's a classic one, whereas the Trionfe is a wee bit more unique, I guess, just in the art style. But yeah, I don't really know. This was just the one that came to hand. Initially, I was thinking, well, if I was going away, I would maybe want one that I would be quite comfortable just throwing about and using and riffle shuffling and doing all this with. So I wasn't going to take this one because this is one of my ones that I'd maybe want to keep good, keep special, you know. Yeah. But I then decided, you know what, if I'm away for a year, I want to have a deck that I want to use. So I've just selected this one, but yeah, do you have an Oncium? Do you have any other TDMs other than the Trionfe? Or
I do. The little one, Sedona put the name in, is the Maria de Celia Tarot. I've got the CBD, the Marseille Cat Tarot, and I have my awesome, ugly, weird Marseille that Mendy sent me that I have no idea how to pronounce the name of and still have to do a walkthrough.
What one is that, Mendy? Can you tell us? Simon says, but you'll always be an RWS boy at heart. Chris, please say it's so. Yeah, I mean, I think my reading style is a bit of a combination between numerology and RWS, and yeah, I think, and I suppose kind of intuitive reading, like kind of reading the actual what's happening on the cards. I like to do that as well. So yeah, I think I'm always going to read that same way, like a kind of combination. But it is, I do think that it's really good to kind of learn the Marseille system, because it just kind of, like I always say, like for me at least, having the more knowledge that I've got, it kind of it feeds my intuition. So I've got more to pull from when, if it is an RWS. If I've got like kind of connections to the Marseille meanings, the RWS meanings, I don't know. It's just I like to have lots to pull from. So yeah, that's my TDM deck that I would select. Jade says Justin and Mendy are to blame. Yeah, that's true. Justin, Mendy, Masha, you're kind of getting there too, Jade. We do a Marseille kind of club on a Saturday, like a Marseille study kind of group, on Zoom. And yeah, it's really good. I'm really enjoying it. I think that's why I'm really getting into Marseille, because I'm really enjoying our re-study group that we have. Robin's another one. So yeah.
Hi, Vic Kestrel, and hey, Candy, and anyone else we have missed coming in.
Yeah, sorry if we're missing people. The orange comments kind of they jump out at me, but the rest of it is just scrolling really fast. So I'm hopeless at keeping up with the chat. I need to have an assistant, like just an assistant here whose job it is to just keep their eye on the chat and let me know if there's something I need to address. Simon says that's how he reads. That's exactly how he reads. Mendy's blaming Masha. Poor Masha, she's not here to defend herself.
Bad. So.
Yeah. So, what's your next deck, Jen?
This one's a really tough one too. It's kind of a choice between my Tarot of Prague or my Tarot of the Shea.
Right.
And they're both so different. But I think if I could only have 5, I'd have to go with my faithful Tarot of the Shea. Because I don't know, this is just so my art style. The readings I have had from this deck are really deep. I don't know, and I can get great messages on the simplest kind of questions, but also on the really deep questions with this deck. And it has never ever failed to enter anything, a really out there forward way. And it's a real kind of smack you in the face deck. So yeah, I'd probably, this is another deck I have 2 copies of because I just love it. But yeah, I'd have to say that one. As much as I love my Tarot of Prague, Tarot of the Sheas, I've got a little bit more, I guess, history with this one. So I'll put that as my 4th one.
Lovely. Is Tarot of the She, is that a bit of its own system?
No, not particularly. It changes. I can't even think what they are now. Like your court cards are different. You've got like Dreamer. For what's Dreamer? Swords. Warrior for Wands. Yeah, and so on and so forth. It does give, they do have keywords at the bottom, like liners, but they're not obtrusive and they're actually really lovely keywords as well. So, yeah, but no, you can definitely read it purely as an RWS deck.
Right, okay. I didn't know that.
Anyway, yeah.
That's pretty cool.
The image is still, you can still see the RWS in the imagery of it. Yeah.
Great. My fourth deck, this is one that I actually just got yesterday, believe it or not. It's the Plain Marseille. Now, the reason that I've picked this one is, well, it's a lovely deck. Do you know what I mean? It's small. Now, I'm not normally into small decks, but I'm getting more tolerant of them. So I'm starting to actually quite like a small deck every now and then. But see if you take out the majors and the knights, it makes a stunning playing card deck for playing card divination. Well, that's actually not the nicest. I don't really like what they've done with the tens there, just the big kind of Roman numeral 10 in the middle. And oddly, they've only done it for 3 of the tens. One of them doesn't have the X in it, which I don't really get. But I just like it. It makes a really nice tarot deck, and it also it makes a stunning playing card divination deck. There's a nice one. So there you've got your 5 of hearts. So you could quite easily use that as like a Marseille 5 of cups, But as the 5 of hearts, it's a really nice kind of, it's a really nice imagery. And the book is quite good. Now I believe that it's Ryan Edward who's created the book, who's created this deck and written the book, which the meanings that are given and the instructions that are given, obviously the majors are kind of like standard kind of Marseille divination, but the minors are more like your playing card divination. So I feel as though this deck can teach me a lot that I'm wanting to learn about reading playing cards. So yeah.
Yeah, I'd love that deck for that reason. Basically, to have the book that goes with it, and yeah.
Yeah. One of the things about it though is it's really not easy to use. You can almost not riffle shuffle it at all. That is really kind of solid card stock. Like that's how much bend it's got on it. So it's really hard to riffle shuffle. And I do like to riffle shuffle my decks at least to begin with to make sure that they're properly kind of randomized.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm not very good at the camera today, am I? So yep, that is deck number 4 for me.
Hey Ginger.
Hi Ginger Faye, how are you?
Well,
and everyone else.
I don't think my last deck is going to be a surprise to anyone. Even my husband, who knows nothing about tarot, guessed this one. And it's my Marielle.
Right.
And I've just dragged out my second edition that sits out all the time.
Oh, nice.
And I don't know, I think I just love this because the imagery is so deep and it's so different. And I did spend a lot of time studying this deck when I first got it.
Yeah.
And I loved that. But now I often just, sometimes I'll rely on, bits of memory I have of what I've studied of it. But, yeah, it's a really intuitive deck. I mean, the artwork is just freaking amazing in this deck. And, yeah.
I agree. It's absolutely stunning.
If I could only have one deck, it would have to be this one.
Oh.
Yeah. So I don't think that's a shock to anyone, really.
Oh, I've got some comments here to pick up on.
Yeah, Simon saying a month's salary on it. Yeah.
Jamie says, I love the Plain Marseille. Justin says, we brought Chris to the dark side. Join us. And Mendy says, Ryan Edwards is a student of Camellia Elias, and she reads minors the same way as she reads playing cards. Right, okay, yeah, that's why I started saying Ryan Edward. That's why I started saying who it was, because I knew that he was a student of hers. I think it was maybe you guys that told me that actually, Mendy. So yeah, the person who made this deck is a student of the same person who's teaching Masha and Mendy. Do you take lessons from Camellia as well? Or am I just making shit up? Which
No,
is known to happen.
And Mendy, get the bloody deck. You always talk about the Marielle going back and forth. Get the deck.
Justin says that Marielle is a deck that he simply has because Chris K likes it.
I just take out the hubby.
Excuse me, thank you. Well, what's that, sorry?
Can I mute myself in StreamYard?
You can, yeah. My mute button's down the bottom, and I think yours is too. So my last deck, actually, it's funny because mine's is also the Marielle. That's my final deck. I've only got one copy of this, and it's my first edition, which I've trimmed. For all the reasons that Jen said, I just love this deck. I love the imagery on it, especially on the first edition. And I know that people don't really. Some people just don't deal with it, but I just really like it. I love the High Priestess. I just love it. She's like the monster of the deep. She's kind of the purpose of usually with the way we read the High Priestess, it's like she protects you from that kind of moon place that you're just not ready for, but it's quite a nice spin on it, I think, to kind of portray her as this monster who she protects you through scaring you away. I just think it's amazing. I don't think there's any cards that I don't like on this. I always learn something. I've learned so much from this deck alone. It's unreal.
I agree. And you've got the second edition, right? Yeah.
No, mine's is the first edition that I've trimmed.
Yeah.
So it doesn't have any titles on it. I had handwritten the titles on, but I hated the way it looked. It was like I basically used a normal kind of one of these Sharpie type pens.
Mm-hmm.
But after a couple of cards, it gets really kind of nibbed and the writing's really thick, and it just looked horrible. So it did. So I just took it all off with a baby wipe. And now I just read them without.
I've chopped down one of my copies of the first edition.
Yeah.
Because I've got 3 of the first edition and 2 of the second.
Right. Have you got the titles written on it, or have you just got yours untitled?
No, so I've got one full, one no titles at all, and then I've got my gold gilded of the first edition that I showed last night.
Yeah, right.
And the backup of my second is still in its box, wrapped up. So.
So Mandy says, yeah, she takes classes with her too. So the only issue I've got with this is because it's not one that I read with every single day. Sometimes I'll pull a card and I've got to kind of look at the book to see what card it is. But I'm getting a lot better at it. A lot better at recognizing them, and I think I know like pretty much maybe about most of them. A good 70 of them without even having to think about it.
Yeah.
But yeah, there is always the one that throws me like that. I think that's the 7 of Pentacles.
Yeah.
But yeah. So yeah, those are my 5 decks. It's quite nice that we both ended on the same deck there, isn't it? We didn't do that on purpose, neither we did. Hi Jane. Zane's popped in as well from Tarot Token Witchery. So I'll say again, I appreciate that it's Thanksgiving. So to all my my friends over the pond from America who are celebrating today and who no doubt have busy days, thank you so much. A special thank you to you for being here. So that is both of our top 5 decks that we say we can't live without. The next, for the remainder of the live, what we're going to do is we're just going to do some live readings for people. Now, what I've said that I'll do is I'm happy for people to choose out of the 5 decks that I've got here, what decks they want read with. So if you would like a reading, then I'll stick on the ticker. In fact, maybe I'll edit it to say, for a reading, please type your question in caps.
When, like, I've noticed in a couple of chats, if people put it in all caps, sometimes Google just doesn't shoulder.
Yeah.
Maybe put one word in like small caps. I've got my phone here so I can see if anyone tags.
So I'll say, please tag at Elemental Cartomancy.
I say Naomi, yeah, you don't have the Marielle or the Sassarabito. Well, I only just got the Sassarabito a few weeks ago.
Save and show. So, welcome for a reading. Please tag Elemental Cartomancy in your question and tell me which of the 5 decks you would like me to read with. So, Jen, I never really asked you what you're wanting to do there. Are you just going to be reading with one deck, or are you quite happy for people to select as well? It's really up to yourself.
If someone wants to select, they can. If not, I'll just go with my intuition of what I feel I want to use if they have no preference.
Happy days. Okay, doke. So I can see that we've got a question from Cassie. In fact, maybe I should switch over to these comments now. So it looks to me as though Cassie's question is the first one. Robin says, "Reading, Chris. I've got an odd question." Robin, you wouldn't be a Robin if you didn't have an odd question for us. So yeah. So Cassie's is the first question, but if anyone else is trying to get a question to us, then let us know. Cassie, have you got a particular deck you want to be read with? Or should I just kind of pick one at random? And Robin, you let me know too, and let me know what your question is. And I'll get to it after Cassie.
I wonder if I have Sage near me. I don't know. I just feel like I need to.
So Cassie says go with any deck. And her question is, should I get a new job? So let's start off with the universal weight. So should I get a new job? Right. Are you ready to go, Jen, or do you want me to go first?
Yeah, you start first. I haven't drawn yet.
Okay. Okay, Cassie. I'm getting the Hermit for your current situation. It does suggest to me, but the story of the Hermit is he removes himself from his current situation in order to, look within and find the answers that he's looking for. It does, so that right away there is the idea there of moving away or moving somewhere, of changing your situation in order to achieve the results that you want. The advice card is the 6 of Pentacles. So we're coming in there with a kind of harmony. I mean, are you the Hermit there? Are you feeling quite kind of on your own, as if you don't fit in your current job? Is that what the issue is? And if that is what's happening, then there is the need to kind of achieve some sort of balance there. There's the need to remove yourself and move yourself into a situation that's kind of more right for you. The 6s are all about kind of, they pair up with the Lovers card. It's all about kind of finding harmony in opposites, so it's going on that kind of quest to find what's right for you. And then, speaking of the Lovers, we've not got the Lovers, but we've got the 2 of Cups coming in as well. So that's your kind of outcome card, I would say. So the idea of a new connection coming in, the 2 of Cups is all about building a new connection, a new emotional connection usually, but some sort of connection. Now, that might be, we're all emotionally connected to things we often associate the cups with relationships and, love and all that kind of thing. And don't get me wrong, it's absolutely to do with that. But it's, we're also emotionally vested in our jobs. Do you know what I mean? That me anyway, I know that I am. Like if something happens to me at work, that I don't like, it can really throw me, it can really upset me. And I think most people, to some sort of degree, somewhere, it's a spectrum, some people are quite good at kind of removing themselves emotionally from their work. Some people really kind of do tie themselves in. So I'm seeing this new connection being built up. So I would say that if you choose to do so, if that's how you're feeling, if kind of the situation I've described there is resonating with you, then I would maybe kind of start thinking about ways that you can proactively make that better for yourself, whether that's finding a new job or whether that's making some sort of fundamental change to your current situation that's going to let you kind of find that connection again and just find that love for your work and what you're doing.
It's really interesting because the first card I got is the Two of Cups, which is the answer to in this one.
Right.
And then following that, I got the Maker King. So this is the King of Pentacles, and the keywords on this are the gift of skill. So, Cassie, I'd say that it's not a bad idea. Like if you feel like you need to get out, that you've got that ability there to find a new job. But the one, I guess, caution to it, last card I got was the Maker 5, which is the 5 of Pentacles. And this kind of screams at me that if you're going to move away from your current job and find another one, is to be more thoughtful about what you really want to do. Don't just get out and take another job because it's a different job. Almost like, I would even suggest doing something like writing down and being really clear about what you want in the next job, that maybe this job isn't giving you, and not accepting anything less than that, like believing you can find that, not accepting anything less than that. Because I think the potential is definitely there and it's not a bad idea, but I wouldn't just leave the job and take anything, because I don't think that's going to put you in a better place. And the other thing that this could suggest as well, being our 5 of Pentacles, is maybe the job that's going to be best for you. Like you might find a job that you think is perfect, but you hesitate because maybe it doesn't pay as much. And not making your decision around that, not making your decision like to give up a job that you really love because maybe it pays a little bit less than the one you're currently in. So I definitely see like, yeah, like there's a definite positive if you find a new job, but don't just accept anything. Make sure you know what you want. Make sure you know your worth, and find one that's going to fulfill you, not just financially. So I hope that makes sense.
Cassie says, she says, I really don't feel like I got there or can progress there. I really don't feel like I got there or can progress there. So it's maybe just feeling a bit stuck in one place with the current job. So maybe what she's looking for is like a job where she can actually prove herself and progress and stuff. Find that purpose.
And that may mean you have to start at a lower level and the lower pay level and upskill. Yeah.
Cool. Okay. Well, I hope that was helpful, Cassie. She says, thanks, guys. Now, let's see who is next.
So Aquarius Owl, I think, is next.
Right, okay. What will I learn from writing 50,000 words this month? Outside my comfort zone for sure. Interesting. I'll maybe pick up the Mary L for this one. Unless has Aquarius also told me what deck?
Not that I can see anywhere.
Oh, she's actually then said I should have asked the job question. This month has been horrible in work. What question would you rather? We answered? Because I mean we're happy to do either or both really. If I tell you what, we'll do this one just now and we can circle back if you want, Aquarius Hill, if you want us to do that. But what will I learn from writing 50k words this month outside my comfort zone for sure? If you're ready at any point, Jen, just fire away.
Yeah. Okay. So, you talk about it being outside your comfort zone. And my first card is the Maker 2, so the Two of Pentacles. And even though we, I guess, associate this a lot with balance, the key word on this card is responsibility, but I really get from this card that you're going to learn that you do have this amazing ability to birth something new. To create this beautiful baby of, this 50,000 words that you're writing. Yeah, I think it's going to bring a lot of pride for you. And it kind of makes sense because my next card is the Dancer. And in this is the Ace of Cups. So, yeah, I think it's... And then I'll put it all together in a sec. And then we've got the Wheel of Fortune here. And just looking at these cards all together, I don't know, it's like you're going to do this and you're going to get to the end of it. And even though it might be at times something really difficult you've had to push and struggle through, I think you're going to come to the end and go, like, holy shit, I did this. And it's going to be the start of you realizing that you have the ability to do whatever the heck you want. Yeah, and I think that's going to end up playing out in other parts of your life as things happen, as different things come up. You're going to reflect on this fact that you did achieve this incredible thing, even though it may have been difficult. Yeah, that's kind of what I'm getting. So you're saying it will be a finished story. Not sure if it will go anywhere, but I do feel I found a new creative outlet. Yeah. I think you're going to have like this joyous moment when you get to the end of that, and just it's almost going to make you feel like I can do anything. I've done this. How about you, Chris?
Yeah, I actually had a jumper, but my kind of 3 standard cards. So the way that I've kind of put these cards out is I've kind of, what are we learning? It's a bit of a within, without, and then how do we take the learnings forward? So the within is like, what do we learn kind of about ourselves, you know, and you've got the Emperor. I don't know, maybe Aquarius Owl, if you're one of these people who kind of thinks of yourself as being a bit scatterbrained. I know that I certainly think that about myself. And I think that this opportunity, this kind of task, this exercise, it's going to actually, it's going to let you actually see just how kind of, you know, how you can actually, you have the ability to bring order into the chaos. You're certainly not as scatterbrained as what you think you are. You're actually, you have the capacity to be a very organized person, and you know, to be able to kind of utilize that organization in order to kind of achieve the output that you're looking for. For what we've learned, as in going without or out with, we've got the world. So it's an interesting card to come up, and I think this is really just talking about, you know, being able to zoom out and just look at that bigger picture. You know, you're going to learn so much about the world. I'm reading this very literally, so it's very like learning so much that you know that you didn't know and you didn't really think you would ever find interesting. Do you know what I mean when I say that? You know how sometimes when you're kind of tackling something new, and all of a sudden you're like kind of reading stuff with such interest that before you would have like kind of fallen asleep 8 words in. It's that kind of idea. So it's this kind of being able to kind of look at things in a new light, and being able to kind of really zoom out and kind of take that kind of bigger picture perspective. And it was interesting when Jen had said about birthing something new, because as you kind of started reading, I just turned over my last card and it's the Page of Pentacles, or the Page of Discs, which in this deck is a newborn baby. Now, in this deck, I don't know if you can properly see it there, but the Page of Pentacles is wearing these shoes, and they're quite symbolically important in this deck. They're like kind of they actually symbolise the other elements. In the Marielle, the pentacle, or the discs, sorry, it's like the culmination of the other three elements. It's like air and the water and the fire all coming together. You know, the fire is where you kind of build up all your positive aspects. You know, you're kind of building that purpose in yourself. Water is where you're building connections with other people and other things, and with yourself. And your swords is where you kind of deal with your shadow side and kind of.
Oh no, we've lost Chris again.
Gosh.
Oh, are you there? Nope, he's frozen. So I'm going to take over based on what Chris drew as well, because.
All right.
Oh, you're back? All right.
Yeah, I think so. Oh, for goodness sake. Yes, I don't know how much you managed to capture that. It just started kind of. I was like mid-flow. I was right mid-sentence when it cut out on me.
You were talking about, like, we got up to the symbology of like the booties representing elements, and then you were kind of gone.
Sorry. So anyway, the point that I was making is that, you know, in the discs we see the other elements really coming together. So when Jen was saying really birthing something new and being able to take that forward, that really kind of resonated with the cards that I had pulled. And what I would say is, like, you know, the finished product that you get from now, it's, you know, it's not the end of, you know, this kind of new you know, this new passion for you. This is really only just the beginning, and it's something you're going to be able to build on a lot more, and really make it into something that you never thought possible before. Now my jumper, which I'm just kind of taking as the overall tone of the reading, was the Four of Wands. So I was kind of, when I was going off in a ramble there, when I think you lost me, I was talking about how the wands are like kind of in this deck and in the kind of Marseille. It's, you know, it's about building up the positive aspects, building up your energetic self, and really kind of finding your purpose, finding your niche. And the fours, of course, are about stability. And in the image, we can see, it's like you can see a fire. It's like there's like kind of clouds of fire, but they're rooted to the ground by this tree. So they've kind of got that connection to ground. They've got that stability. They've got that kind of structure. So you kind of overall, what I'm seeing here is that you're able to kind of take that passion that you've got, and, you know, for me, fours are like not just stability, but like almost like recognition, validation. You know, It's the first time when somebody, it's like the pat in the back. It's like that initial pat in the back. It's like the initial kind of, do you know what? You've done a really good job. You're actually really good at this. When somebody says that to you for the first time, when you're kind of going out in something new, then you know you've reached a kind of 4 moment. So yeah, I think it's going to be. I think be confident in yourself. It's going to go really well for you.
Yeah, and with a couple of the things that you said there, Chris, when you talked about, like this is going to be the start of something new. I very much see that too in the Wheel of Fortune in this card. Like she's holding this big, beautiful abundance of like fruit in this bowl, and also in the Mary L, that World card, there's an aspect to it that reminds me of the Star card, and that hope really come to fruition. But the nakedness of her, is that kind of being more open, and it like this ace, well, the dream, the dancer here, which is the Ace of Cups. To me, it looks like she's dancing on a world.
Yeah.
And naked as well. She's open, she's bare, she's raw, she's showing it all, and just loving it. So I think that really resonated beautiful with like your world card that you got there. So I think this is going to be great for you, Aquarius out.
Cool. Okay.
So next we've got Ginger saying she'd love a general reading from any deck. And then Mindy's challenging us to read with the Mariel so she can see how it reads and decide if she wants it. I'll keep writing it to you, Mindy, till you cave.
When I do a general reading, Ginger, what I tend to do is like a strengths, a weaknesses, and an opportunities pool. So that is what I'm going to do for you. You want to go first, Jen, or are you still kind of sorting yourself out?
You go for it.
Okay. For strengths, you have strength. I think that's the first time that's ever happened to me. So the strength card, in my view, talks about, it's not about imposing your strength on someone else, not in my opinion anyway. And if it is talking about that, it's talking about using your strength wisely, in my opinion. What I see strength as is really kind of being proud of who you are, being proud of yourself. The lion represents the part of you that you would perhaps to date, you've kind of like kept it quiet, kept it down inside. We don't want anyone to see our inner lion usually, quite a lot of the time. We can be quite, I don't want to say ashamed. Ashamed seems like quite a strong word, but we can be quite private about our inner lion. But the strength card is telling you, don't do that. This is your time to shine. Whatever it is that you want to kind of let out there, it's a part of you, and it's an amazing part of you. You're an amazing person. Let that lion out. Given that that's in your strength position, Ginger, that suggests to me that whatever it is that you're thinking about doing, whatever kind of, fork in the road you're thinking about taking, whatever part of yourself you want to kind of let out, now's the time, Weaknesses, we've got the Seven of Cups. And this is what I called the Netflix card. it's when you're kind of you're faced with so many choices that you really can't separate that what's real and what's an illusion. And you almost kind of struggle to make that choice. You know, you've got so many things to choose from. You spend so long looking at all the choices. Do you ever do? And I call it Netflix for a good reason, because this is exactly what I do when I'm trying to pick something to watch on Netflix. You kind of like, there's nothing worse than when I'm sitting down to eat my dinner and then he'll say to me, going to stick something on the telly first. So my dinner goes to one side because I know what I'm like. It will be like, press button, couple of chips, press another button, couple of chips, and then I've finished my dinner before anything's on the telly. So the dinner goes to one side, and I've got to kind of go through Netflix. And if I don't know what I'm looking for, if I've not got in my mind, like, right, okay, I know I want to watch The Crown tonight, or this, that, or the next thing, then I could be there for ages. My dinner could be cold by the time I've actually picked something. So it's kind of getting yourself into that, almost that kind of inside yourself stalemate. And it's where you start finding, like, like you find yourself go back to look at things that you've already looked at, and you're like, maybe I'll see a different thing this time. It's really, ultimately, it comes down to being able to separate illusion from reality. Okay. You spend so long zoomed in on something, and I can never remember whether that's myopic or the other one, but you spend so long zoomed in and examining something at close detail. Oftentimes what you need to do is you need to switch the TV off, just come away from Netflix, and shove one of Jen's videos on YouTube on instead on your phone, and just watch that while you're eating your dinner. You need to completely remove yourself, and then come at it again when you've slept or when you've got fresh eyes. So that being in a weakness position suggests that maybe you're struggling to make a choice, or you're struggling to kind of really come to terms with how you feel about something. But nicely enough, in the opportunities, we've got the Two of Cups. So there is the potential there to really connect, to make that connection. Um, but it's about being able to kind of remove yourself from that kind of stuck situation, and coming back with that fresh set of eyes and being able to kind of make that connection, Ginger. Um, so that's what I see in those cards. Now, what I like to do when I do this 3 card reading is I like to kind of add them up and get like the kind of personality of the reading, kind of. So we've got strength is 8 in this deck. So 8 and 7 is 15, plus the 2 is 17. So 17 is the star, and then that can reduce down to strength, which is nice. So the final reduction is already in the reading. So that suggests to me to really kind of pay attention to your strengths. That's a really important card in this reading. Um, so, and then, the star suggests that you're maybe healing from some shit that's recently gone down.
What was your last card there, Chris? I missed that one.
The Two of Cups.
Cups, yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, I'll leave it there, because I know what's going to happen. I'm going to go around in circles and start saying the same thing over and over again. So I'll let you go, Jen.
All right, so I've kind of done my general reading for you the way I do my daily reading. So the first card for me is sort of that what needs to happen, or what's coming up, or what's going on, and then my next 2 cards are the energy that surrounds that. And my first card is the 6 of Swords. And with you, Chris, having pulled that 7 of Cups, to me, I look at the 7 of Cups as well as being, we all have all these choices. We need to pick the one that's in our best interest, even if it might not seem like the quickest way to get where we want, the funnest thing to do, all of that. But we need to pick that one that's like for the highest good. And I think in conjunction with that is, Ginger, like you've got shit that you need to drop and you need to walk away from. And, I guess I have a slight advantage because I know little bits and pieces and snippets of what you're thinking. But all these things going on in your life that you overthink about, that are stopping you from doing what you want to do moving forward, you need to let them go and you need to move forward. they will be fine. All the things that you're stressing out will all be fine and will all work out. But, I really think this is you needing to follow your passion. And then, funnily enough, my first card for the energy surrounding it is the strength card. And my next one is the Fool. So, I don't know, these just really confirm to me that with these choices you're trying to make, and you're trying to think about everybody else and the impact to them, and it's about you starting to put yourself first, and that is going to take a hell of a lot of inner strength, and it's going to take faith, faith of being that fool and just taking that leap. And yes, I guess our fool can be a warning card too, but in this deck, she's surrounded by these beautiful butterflies. It's like she's moving away from the dark clouds, and yeah, it really is like she is just taking a leap of faith in this image. Yeah, that's pretty much what I've got for you with that one, Ginger.
Cool. So I think she's enjoyed the readings. That's good. Hope they were helpful. Robin's question for the cards: is it really necessary to shuffle the cards, and if so, why? Okay. So I've got my opinion on that, but I'm just going to throw some cards down, Robin, and see what the cards have got to say, which is what I think you're looking for us to do. It's interesting because different people are going to have different answers for that question. I would imagine that the vast majority of us would say yes, but I think a lot of us would say yes for different reasons. So yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how we both read this question, and how much my opinion on it kind of influences the reading that I'm going to give.
And Ginger's just said, you're going to YouTube, writing the tube, sharing your gifts. Yes, 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 Ginger, go for it.
Ginger, see the song that I quite often associate with the strength card is that song "I'm Coming Out" by, oh gosh, help me out, Jen, is it Irene Cara, or am I totally getting that mixed up?
I'm useless with song names. Singers.
But you know the one I mean. I'm not going to start singing, don't worry, otherwise we'll see the viewers drop from 25 to minus 25. But yeah, that's the song that I quite often associate with that song. That I associate with that card. Oh, she's saying no. Maybe she hates that song. But it's it's all about being proud of yourself and showing that to the world. So yeah, do it. Do it now. Oh yeah, Diana Ross sang it. Of course she did. Sorry. It's oh, Ginger says earworm. Fucking earworm. Sorry, Ginger. Do you know I've heard, and I don't know if this is true to be fair, but I've heard that the best way to cure an earworm is to listen to the song from start to finish. Just stick it on and listen to it all, and that way you get it out your system.
It's actually a psychological thing, yeah. The brain's trying to get to the end; it's not finished. So
yeah.
Okay, I'm just gonna go with okay. So in response to, is it necessary? I got the Lovers card in the South of Rabito, and you can see this whole whirlwind. It's like around them. It's almost like you can feel that movement going round and round. So I'm going to take that as a yes, it's necessary. And then for my why aspect of this, I think I've got them the right way around for you to see. I got the Six of Wands and the Devil. And, if I'm reading on this question, I would say, with our Six of Wands as being victory, but, more so because bloody StreamYard and getting confused. This has formed this perfect circle here, and it's necessary so that, we don't get the bullshit basically that comes with the devil, the illusion, I don't know. I find this a really weird question to read for, but that's pretty much what I can give you based on the cards that I've drawn, Robin.
The cards that I've drawn from the playing Marseille are the Nine of Clubs, Temperance, and the Ace of Diamonds. So we've got one black card, one red card, and then one card that's very much about balancing between two things. I want to say, ultimately, it's up to you to find your own niche, to find your own system, to find your own balance. What you need to make sure is, for me, it's all about energy. Now, some people hate the use of the word energy, and to be honest, I'm kind of slipped. I've got one foot in that camp, kind of. Sometimes when people use the word energy, depending on how they're using it, it can irritate me a wee bit. But different people mean different things by energy. For me, energy is very much a psychological thing, for me personally. So it's about, you're kind of starting off with the, a high fire energy. Now I know that in playing cards, and particularly in this deck, it's the I think it might be the diamonds that are fire actually, but we're starting off with quite high energy here, right? You've got Temperance, who, I know that she's pouring water between two vases, but she could quite easily be shuffling a deck of cards just with the way that her hands are. She's taking that from 9, which is really kind of high energy, down to a 1, which is back to 0. It's resetting it. It's resetting the system. Now, whether resetting the system is because you believe that when you read for one person, there's vibrations in those cards that, that you need to kind of get out of there, you need to reset, and you need to kind of set that back to 0, or whether you believe that it's a psychological thing for you, that you need to psychologically have that mixed in so that you don't just feel as though you're pulling the same cards by accident or something like that. I'm very much in camp 2. I need to shuffle my cards, and if I don't know if anyone's seen the way I put my cards back in the deck, but I'll put them back in different places. I'll slot them into the deck, and it's the reason that I do that is purely psychological, because I know that if those cards come out together again, I'm going to think that's because I've not shuffled the deck, and it's going to affect my own ability to read purely because of how the way that I'm looking at that in my head. Whereas if I've put them in different places and they come out together again, I know they were meant to come out together again. So for me, it's purely psychological, but it's very much a resounding yes, is what I would say. It's about taking that high energy and kind of neutralising it, taking it back to the start, fresh for your new reading.
And bye, Deanne.
Bye, Deanne. So yeah, I hope that was helpful, Robin. Okay, Mendy's asking for the Marielle. So we both do Marielle here?
Yeah.
Right. Let's see how we got on. Robin says it's not about the cards, it's about the readers and the querying and their needs and inadequacies. That's a bit a harsh way to put it, Robin. I don't think that it's an inadequacy. Like your own state of mind and your own mindset and the way that you look at the cards, I wouldn't call that an inadequacy. But you know, whatever floats your boat, whatever tickles your pickle. Oops. See, the only thing about the first edition of this deck is the cards are really sticky because it's quite
Yeah.
heavily laminated.
You go when you're ready.
I need to actually check up on what one of these cards is. No, it's a 10. See, this is what I mean by not having the titles. I'm not always...
Yeah.
It's not the swords. I think it's the 10 of Cups. Yeah.
Yeah, Candy, the second edition does jump all over the place.
Right, okay. For strengths, Mendy, we've got the 6 of Cups. Now, the 6 of Cups here is, it shows the angel Uriel, I believe, coming out of the water. He's got the lobster hands, but underneath the water, he's kind of, I was going to say he's human there, but he's not, he's an angel. Now, Uriel is he's not the healer of God, is he? He's the, sorry. Oh, he's the light of God. Aye, that makes sense. Uriel, yeah, the light of God. Right, okay. So, for me, this is all about finding harmony, you know, in your emotions. The 6 of Cups we would normally associate with taking, you know, it's about kind of memories and it's about, you know, thinking back to your childhood. For me, it's very much about thinking back to simpler times. But the kind of purpose behind that, what we're trying to achieve by doing that, is finding this emotional harmony and finding it after a time that can be quite difficult. And the 5 of Cups, you know, we quite often associate that with loss and pain. And in this deck, it's no different. In this deck, it's Chiron, I believe, is the kind of the horse or the unicorn who basically takes in the wounds of others. And so the 6 is very much about kind of coming out of that situation and finding the kind of harmony. So that is what's coming up as a strength for you, Mendy. It's about maybe not so much about taking yourself out, not just yourself, but guiding others through that. So all of the 6s in this deck are archangels, and you know they all very much kind of speak of guidance and kind of helping people through, you know, tough times. And so I kind of see you here very much as I feel as though I'm being really wishy-washy, actually. I'm hearing the words coming out of my mouth and I'm not really resonating with them myself, which doesn't happen to me very often. You know, I feel as though I'm not catching my flow. I'm going to move on to the next cards and then I'll see if I can double back to that. I'll see if anything else comes to me. For weaknesses, we've got the Ace of Wands. I should maybe have said graphic alert because some of the cards are quite graphic. I don't know if you can see it in the card, but in the face, it's like it looks like somebody's just taken their thumb and smudged part of it over, but actually it's a lion's face that's moving really fast between being calm and being like active. Okay, so the ace is, you're at the very start of your fire energy. And for me, fire is about building yourself up, but kind of finding your purpose, achieving that purpose. The ace is very much when it's in its potential stages, and you're still kind of you're able. It's about being able to kind of flip between the calm face of the lion, which is like kind of logical and being able to plan ahead, and the kind of active lion, the lion who's like kind of basically jumping out and roaring, basically. So it's about being able to kind of find that balance between the two, and to know when to use your energy, and to know, when to kind of when to sheath it almost. Um, Opportunity, we've got the 10 of Cups. And the 10s, especially in this deck, are all about, it's really the renewal of that cycle. And I don't know if anybody was in the chat this morning when I talked about um, the Marielle, and I said it's kind of like an illustrated Marseille. And this is one of the reasons why, because the images for me and the meanings that the images are supposed to associate with are very much numerology for me. So it's having achieved that kind of emotional that satiety. When we come to the end of the cups, we think about being happy in our lives, emotionally. It's very much kind of renewal of that. So it's like kind of passing that down. I know that, Mendy, you're looking at your kids going off to college or uni, or so it's almost like there is a kind of shift in energy happening, and that's going to kind of give you the opportunity to find that new energy in your life, and that new kind of emotional feeling in yourself. Wow, Jenna, I'm going to hand over to you because I feel as though I'm thinking here, and I'm going to have a look at these cards and see if anything else pops to mind.
It's interesting that in the weaknesses that you got the Ace of Wands, because one of the first things I kind of wanted to ask you, Mendy, was, is there something you're trying to get done? Is there something you're trying to achieve? Even if it's something that is more psychological, thought-based, that you're trying to work through and get over. It's kind of the first question that came out for me. So it was really interesting that you got the Ace of Wands. And so again, because it's a general reading, I sort of did it the same way, and I'll just repeat how I do it, like that I do my morning draws where my first card is sort of what's happening or what's going to happen, and then my next two are about the energy around it. And my first card I got is the King of Swords. And my instant reaction to this, because I do read this quite intuitively, was I just feel like you're weighed down by thoughts of something at the moment. And I feel like it's something about what you want to be doing, or something you want to achieve, or something you want to move forward from, or and then so my next card was a 6 card as well, and it's the 6 of Wands, and this is Archangel Michael, if I've got that right. And I just love Archangel Michael, and he's, to me, he's all about protection. And then I've got the Queen of Wands here, and this has got to be one of my most favorite Queen of Wands cards in any deck. And so with what I feel like you're trying to do, okay, so you're saying not really anything specific, you're trying to achieve more, like just looking for direction to go next, feeling kind of stagnant. Yeah. And I kind of feel like maybe with the girls in college and stuff, or, whether it's part of health aspect, that it's just, it's either playing on your mind now or it's going to build up more. But this really says to me that you need to trust and you need to surrender. Like, surrender the fear, like, trust that you're protected and guided. You know what I mean? You have that incredible story of having met, you know, one of your guides. You know, trust that they're there now. And even if you're not sure what it is, you know, and the fact that these are both wands as well, and that, you know, Chris pulled an Ace of Wands card. Yeah, I think this is about you kind of having a fresh start in something. You know, even if it's just a basic thing, it doesn't have to be any kind of major life event. Health issues weighing on your mind. Okay, yeah. And I don't know, I just really, really get that, yes, you're clouded at the moment with thoughts of all different things. And surrender them, have faith, have trust that you'll get through it, and you will come out on top as this beautiful, gorgeous Queen of Wands who's, I don't know, she's just in her element. She's nurturing her little, I don't know what you call it, if it's a little lion cub or. But yeah, I think my biggest message for you in this is whatever's playing on your mind is surrender it and trust.
Yeah. It's interesting, just kind of listening to what you were saying there, Jen, and looking at my cards again and reading what Mendy's saying in the comments there, about that feeling of stagnancy, and, you know, you're really kind of picking up on the change aspect. The opportunity is there in the change with the 10. I think where the struggle lies, you know, I've got the ace as the weakness, you know, the kind of the struggle card. You know, it's maybe not so much that there there isn't an opportunity there. It's just being able to recognize it and seize it. You know, the issue isn't with the 10. You know, the changes are happening. The issue is with the ace. You know, it's being able to kind of, you know, pick up on that new energy and, you know, nurture it to then be able to kind of, you know, identify it and nurture it into kind of something new. And like that feeling of stagnancy is kind of what happens when you feel as though you're just kind of, I keep flogging a dead horse, horrible expression, but for some reason that's twice I've now used that expression on a live this week, and but it's like you've lost that purpose, and the fire, the ace being in the kind of in the struggling position, it kind of echoes that. And whilst Jen was talking as well, I did what I did for Ginger. I did the kind of adding up thing and to see what the general tone of the reading was, and again, I got the same one. So I got they add up to 17, which is the star, which reduces down to 8. Now the star is all about healing after a tough time, which is kind of what we're both talking about. You know, the sixes are that kind of guidance, that healing energy. So really kind of trying to pay attention to that. But that reduction to 8 in this deck, 8 is justice. So it's, you know, it's being able to trust in the system, you know, and trust that, you know, where things are out of your control, where you are essentially putting your faith in someone else's hands. It's being able to go with that flow and not kind of try and kind of swim against it. It's being able to go with it and adapt with the changes rather than trying to fight against them, which doesn't really tend to work. So that's what I would add at the end there. So I hope that was in some way helpful, and I didn't feel that. I thought, Jen, your reading was brilliant. I felt it was, I didn't feel that I was that inspiring with the Marielle. So I don't know, Mendy, whether, you know, what your thoughts are, whether you'll maybe be holding off and seeing what you think about it. But
Great,
yeah.
Chris. Everything you said was great.
She says that makes a lot of sense. That's good. Cool. Right. What have we got next? Sadana's got a question here. Any deck's fine. Insight into my current deep dive into spiritual practices. Feeling a bit unnerved by how thin the veil is. So I'm going to use the Marseille for this one, Sadana, because it's the only one I've not used yet. I am just dropping cards left, right, and centre tonight. You want me to go first, or do you want to go first, Jen?
If you're ready, go for it.
Okay.
I'm in thinking mode here.
Cool. Okay. Get situation, advice, and outcome here for you, Sadana. For the situation, I've got the Ace of Swords. So your question was about you're currently taking a deep dive. The Ace of Swords is kind of a deep dive card. It's where you're throwing yourself into something new intellectually. But for me, the Ace of Swords really highlights the need to come at it with a beginner mindset. See what you already know, or what you think you already know. If you want to kind of come through this experience and really learn something new about yourself and about the process that you're applying yourself to, it's important to kind of have that beginner mindset, because we're able to learn more. We're able to kind of take stuff in a lot better if we kind of approach it without ego. And it's like I think when you think you know something, so if you're learning something new, let's say the piano, for instance. I started learning the piano a couple of years ago, but years and years ago at school, I had taken keyboard. So in keyboard, your right hand is doing all the work and your left hand is just playing the chords. Whereas in piano, your hands are both kind of playing tunes and melodies and whatnot, and almost independently of each other. Now, for me, that was a real struggle, because I already had it in my head what playing the kind of keyboard instrument is like, and because my hands were already used to doing it a certain way, because my head was already used to thinking about it a certain way, I really struggled to really come at that as a beginner and kind of get myself into actually being able to work my two hands separately, let them do things independently of each other. I would say that it's still something that I kind of struggle with to this day. So the reason I yabber on like that is just really to highlight the importance of having that kind of fresh beginner mindset, and how much easier it ultimately makes it for you as a learner. The advice that we've got here is La Force, which has been translated into Force. I don't know if you can see my translation there. Obviously, it's the Strength card. So we were talking about the Strength card early on. Don't try and go with the flow a wee bit more. suggests that right now you're kind of trying to grab the bull by the horns, which, don't get me wrong, some approaches, sometimes when you're doing something, that's absolutely the right approach to take, you know. But right now, what I'm seeing is maybe what you need to do is kind of learn to kind of let things flow a bit more. Don't try to be in control of all the kind of micro things that are happening. Be a bit more forgiving of yourself and a bit more open to that energy. And then we've got, for the kind of outcome card, we've got the Fool. So there is a big change happening, and you know, again, the Fool, he just kind of throws himself. He kind of lets go of all these kind of previous kind of conceptions and stuff, and he just kind of he just kind of jumps off that cliff, or really lets himself go. Now, what's really nice, what's really kind of grabbed my attention about these cards is we're seeing two, I think, feline creatures, or it might be a dog that's in the Fool. Now, am I holding these the right way? That's the ultimate question. You should be seeing the Strength and then the Fool. So I'm not sure if that's how you're seeing it. So we've got the Strength card, where you can see that she's like kind of almost trying to control the lion. She's grabbing it by the mouth, and that is very much taking up her attention. By contrast, you've got the Fool. The kind of familiar is behind the Fool. He's not completely out of the picture, but he's certainly not kind of he's not taking up the Fool's concentration, and he's not exercising, he or she or they, not exercising any control over the Fool anymore. So what I'm getting from these cards is there's an element of it where you really kind of have to let go, and once you can let go, you'll be able to, you know, I think you talked about the veil thinning, so it's a bit unnerved by how thin the veil is, you've said. So once you can kind of learn to let go of your previous conceptions of what that should look like and how it should make you feel, I think that's when you're going to be able to kind of make your peace with it. And whether it turns out that the veil isn't as thin as what you thought it was, and you're able to handle it more, or whether it's actually, you know, you find yourself more equipped to deal with the kind of stuff that's happening with you. That's what I see here. What about you, Jen?
So, yeah, I definitely see that this is, I don't know, I feel like you're in the perfect place right now. This warrior force, or the Four of Wands, and the power in those like hands above and the fire around it, and you know, the people underneath kind of being protected by that. I think this is quite a momentous time for you. I don't think it's going to be easy though. My next card I got is the Warrior 9. And, you know, even though, you know, we look at the Nine of Wands as sort of being that struggle and everything, I see that with kind of the black clouds that are swirling around in the background. But here, this person is, you know, in this beautiful, like, protective shield all around them. And I think what's coming for you, you're in the right place, but I do see it as being quite a lot, quite intense, really intense. But it's that knowing that you are protected through that. And then the last card I got was the Dancer 5, which is your 5 of Cups. And this, as soon as I saw it, really made me feel like with what you're working through right now and this deep dive, like it's almost like there's going to be a lot of really difficult shit, like personal shit to get through. But the sun's shining down, and I wasn't quite content with this being the last card that I drew. So I just felt to take the bottom card off, and with that one I got the Dancer King. So our King of Cups. And this is where I think it's going to lead. I think it's going to lead to a beautiful place. I think you're in the right place. I think you're right that it's very intense at the moment based on this. I feel like it's going to bring up a lot of quite difficult stuff, but it's all for that higher benefit in the end. So, yeah, coming out on top, being so much more emotionally like in control and evolved, and yeah. So I do kind of see it as being pretty damn intense for you, Sedona. Hopefully that makes sense.
I've lost, like, the chat's jumped so much that the Sedana's comment is lost up above. That way you only get so much on StreamYard. So I've now don't know the first comment that I can see is Cassie saying thanks, guys. So I've lost Sedana's comment.
I've got here's still.
So anyone after Sedana is what I'm worrying about. Oh, I've found it on the other chat. We're good. So.
Oh, that's good, Sedana. Yeah, I know you love the Tower of the Shade. And I'm just getting through the comments to try and find the next question. So much chat to go through.
Right.
From way back, Sandra saying you need to use your Marielle. Yes, you do, Sandra. It's fabulous. And Elle, yes. I know I've seen another question in here, but it must be further down. We're getting there, everyone.
I know, sorry about this.
I know I've seen another question. My goodness, everyone's very chatty today, which is nice to see.
I can see Robin said, now I'm wondering what happens if you shuffle for a question but then pull the cards from the bottom of the deck. I mean, I think we've chatted about this before, Robin. I think every single card in the deck has something to say about the situation that you're in. So whether you pull from the bottom, the top, whether you fan them out and select cards at random, they're all going to have insight into what the situation is that you're reading for, and it really just depends on what works for you. Again, I think it comes back to that psychology, just at what you feel more comfortable with. That's my view on it anyway.
I just found the next one, and thank you, Robin, because Robin just posted it too. Which is Emma Jade. So, will my new idea be the one I am looking for? And any deck, please. I think it's about intention too. I mean, if you're shuffling and you place the intention that you're going, whatever it is you're asking or looking for, that you'll pick the bottom card off the deck, then yeah. And Sedana's asking, how many hours are we going to be here? Just wondering. I think
probably just for another. Usually I only go until 11 o'clock my time, so it would be for another 10-ish minutes. But I would always finish off the readings that are there. I don't know. I never even asked you, Jen. Actually, I didn't even bother asking how long you were okay to do this for. Sorry.
I'm good. Well, Emma Jade's the last question we've got here anyway at this
Right.
stage. So because Emma Jade, your question's very yes, no. If it's okay, I'm sort of going to ask more like what the outcome looks like of your new idea rather than the yes, no aspect of it. What are you laughing about, Chris? What's come up for you there?
Sometimes the tarot just makes me chuckle. Excuse me. You want to go first, or do you want me to?
Whatever you want to do. I'm curious as to what your chuckle's about. So
I've basically done a situation, advice, and outcome. So basically a card to represent this new idea, a card to represent what the advice is, and a card to represent what's going to happen. The card to represent the new idea was the new idea card, the Ace of Wands. So yeah, thanks for that. That was really insightful. Good old Lightseers. I've just done talking about how it always gives me like great insight and how it always works well with me. And to be honest, I feel as though it's just stuck two fingers right up at me after saying that. So the Ace of Wands, it suggests that whatever your new idea is, whatever this kind of new thing that you've found, there's a lot behind it. If you nurture it, and as I said, we're coming in with the Empress for the advice, but just talking about the Ace of Wands just now, if you're willing to give that the time that you need and nurture it, you can really make something special out of that. Now, the journey of the wands, the path of wands, I suppose no path is an easy one, but in particular with the wands, and I'm thinking when we start to kind of find ourselves towards the end, quite often too much fire energy, if we kind of leave ourselves on that path too long, we can find our things start to feel quite stagnant. So for me, being able to kind of deal with this new idea and nurture it and make the best of it, it's about knowing, it's about giving it the time that it needs, doing what you need to kind of water that plant, feed that plant, so like kind of give it what it needs to let it grow, but also know when to cut your losses, know when things aren't working for you. And this is when I come in with the advice card, and pretty much it's saying the exact same thing that I've just said. The Empress is all about the circle of life. Yeah, she's like the mother energy. She's very much about creation. She's talking about the number 3, which is promising, because we're saying, is this idea the right one? We're starting off with an ace. We're then coming in with the 3, which is all about creation, creativity, growth. It's about nurturing that idea and bringing it into fruition, actually making that shit real, essentially. But the Empress, number 3, is linked with death, which is number 13. They're both points almost opposite. The creation and the death are both opposite parts of the circle of life. And the thing about the Empress is, as much as she is that kind, that nurturing, that kind of mother energy, equally, she knows when her child needs to be sent to its room. She knows when it's time to cut the bad bits off the plant. She knows when she needs to kind of engage that kind of that culling energy. So that's the advice that's in the cards is very much about spending the time that you need to spend on it. What I wouldn't say is, this isn't something that, okay, right, this is my idea. You can't just leave it and expect it to come to something by itself. It expects a lot from you, a lot of work on your part. The outcome card that we see here is the Hermit. And this is where specifics would help, because the Hermit can be a really good card or it could be quite a negative card, and it really depends on what the idea is, what kind of thing it is we're looking at. So if this is an idea that you're looking for that's going to kind of let you kind of go within to know yourself better, maybe you're thinking about going on some sort of spiritual journey. If the idea, if the thing that you're trying to achieve, if your purpose and your aim and your goal is to build yourself up, and to really kind of concentrate on yourself and go within, then I would say it's looking pretty promising. If, however, you're looking to, you know, start a business and have 100 employees, and, you know, if you're going out with, the Hermit's maybe not the best outcome card, you know. So this is where I need to kind of hand over to you, Emma, and let you kind of decide for yourself. The Hermit's a very kind of solitary person. The Hermit really learns a lot from going within. The Hermit's not the kind of energy that will learn from people who've done it before. They're very much a trailblazer, very much kind of all of the answers come from within the Hermit. They don't come from the library books or from online. It's not that kind of energy where it's that easy where you can just look it up. It is very much about finding the answers within, and it can be quite a lonely path. So it can. So I'll let you decide whether that's looking good for you. But I think the main thing to take from my reading is about spending that time on it.
I'm not going to read mine in order. And I could be way off, but I don't get this feeling, Emma, like, and I don't know what the idea even relates to, whether it's just some fun personal thing, whether it is a career thing, a business thing. I just like I've got the star card in the middle. But in this deck, you know, you've got this astronaut that's just kind of floating about freely. And I don't know, I feel like you're always trying to find that one perfect thing, that one perfect idea to break through. And I could be completely wrong. And, you know, we've got the Knight of Pentacles here, which definitely suggests that, you know, you can move forward with this. But again, our Knight of Pentacles, he's a lot slower at moving forward. It's not this quick moving aspect. And, you know, I feel like just with the imagery of the star card in this, like you kind of want it to be quick and fast and to see whatever it is your idea has come to fruition really quickly. But it's going to take time and dedication. And with this Knight of Pentacles in particular, you know, I mean, you can interpret it in different ways, but just the way, my first impression of how he's got the hand up to the head, it's just like, you know, this is exhausting. And he's really in contemplative mode there. And then I've got the Two of Swords card. And while this can be different things, so it's career, Emma, like, you know, it can be that positive side of going internal and looking internal. It can be that negative side of not seeing something. But I feel like you don't want to see all the facts. Like, you only want to see, like, the positive, you know, or, yeah, I don't know. Yeah, and really going with what Chris said, if this is an idea that you want, it's about taking your time. It's about putting a lot of thought into it, and it's getting very clear in your own self that all right, this might be exciting and it might be fun and it might be something you're super passionate about, but it's going to come with the shit as well. Like it's going to come with the tough stuff, especially if it's a career aspect. Yeah, and I don't know if it's something you're really passionate about, that lights you up, that lifts you up, and you know you can stick to it, then absolutely go for it. But if it's more that kind of, yeah, I'm excited about this now and it's my way out of where I currently am, but you haven't sort of looked at all sides of it and assessed the good, the bad, and the ugly of it, I'd be taking the time to do that. Okay, so I'm not saying it's not a good thing, but what it kind of reminds me of, and I don't mean this in an offensive way, is like my own ADD brain, right? Where I can get really excited about something and caught up in it, and when I'm in that hyper focus mode, but then I can get bored really quickly with it, and then I've jumped to the next thing and the next thing and the next thing. So don't mean that in an offensive way. I'm using myself as that example. But yeah, I don't know if that makes any sense to you at all, Emma, but yeah, that's kind of what I feel with what I'm getting. And sorry, I just got to laugh at what Jackie said before, Chris, when you were talking about the light seers basically giving you a big middle finger. It's upset you've been using your other day.
Probably. I'm being a bit of a tarot slut tonight. We've got 5 on the table. Don't know what I've done with whether it's
You're welcome, Emma. I do hope it was helpful.
She did say thanks, it was very helpful, so that's good. Yeah, I kind of lost you there for like my internet went again whilst you were in the middle of reading, but I managed to get myself back before you'd finished, thankfully. I think, is that everyone then? Is that have we kind of covered everyone that had asked a question? If there's anyone here just now who did ask a question and we've not got to you yet, then give me a shout just now. But if that's everyone, then that just leaves me to say thank you so much to Jen for agreeing to come on with me. It's been lovely having you here.
Thank you for inviting me. It was fun.
Good stuff. Should do it again sometime. I don't see any kind of comments popping up to say you forgot me. So we'll leave it there. I do see that Aquarius Owl has ordered the Paradoxical Rose.
You won't regret it. It's fabulous.
Thanks very much to everyone for being here. Happy Thanksgiving to everyone who celebrates it. Thank you very much for being here despite it being Thanksgiving. To our friends over the pond, it means a lot that you've popped in to say hello. So we'll love you and leave you all, as I always like to say now. Seems to be becoming my style. I would like to have come up with a better catchphrase than that, but take care, everyone. Thank you so much, and we shall see you all later.
Well, thanks. Bye all.